Hello everyone and welcome to a new video of Firepower Threat Defense series. In this video, we are going to look at rule actions on the access control policy in FMC. So there are certain actions available in the access control policy. We will see what they are and how they really work or how really the rule behaves as per the action you set on it. So let's jump onto the FMC. So you remember in last video, we created this rule, allow DNS and ICMP, but we just created the rule because we wanted to know how to create a rule. In this video, let's go deeper and look at the actions it can have. I will add it a rule. So let's create a new rule. I wanted to create a rule here, you know, where I can block my users from going to certain countries. So that will also cover the demo of geolocation based stuff. Okay. I want to create a rule. So if you right click on a rule, you can say cut, copy to, move to another policy. There are certain actions state. You can change it from enable to disable, edit the rule, delete the rule, insert new rule, and then show the events which match to this rule. And then you can also insert a new category. Let's say insert new rule. I will say blocked countries. Okay. Rule is enabled. I want to insert it into a category known as standard rules, which is here. I can choose mandatory and default as well, drop down and to a specific rule above which rule I want to put this rule or below which rule I want to put this rule. I'm going to keep it as going to standard rules. I don't want any time range. I want it to be working 24 by 7. I can create a time range for that or I can, just leave it as none. So it always applies. Now, major point of this video is to talk about the actions available. Let's see what actions are available. So you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 actions available for a rule in access control policy. So first action on the top is allow. What allow does? Allow rule allows the matching traffic. Also, it uh, I would say it enforces the evaluation of other policies. Once it allows the traffic, FMC can also enforce intrusion control policy and file type control policy. Okay. These policies are also evaluated against that traffic if they are applied. Okay. That's what allow really means. Allow and enforce these policies. Now, if you set it to trust, see these options gets grayed out. Trust means allow the traffic, also exempt it from intrusion and file policies. Okay. Now, looking at the monitor option, if you go to monitor, see the same behavior happens. Monitor doesn't really even allow the traffic. What this action does is, if you have a rule with the monitor action, when the traffic hits the FTD, it will generate a log for it, or it will just match the rule. And if you have logging in enabled, then it's great. That's what is really the purpose of the monitor. It will generate a log that traffic came, traffic hit the FTD, but what will happen? Traffic will also be evaluated against the rules which are below this rule, okay? Because it's a top to bottom evaluation order. Monitor is just for monitoring the traffic. It doesn't allow the traffic really, okay? Now, next section is block. In case of block also, these will get disabled. Reason for that is if you are blocking the traffic, there is no need to bother the intrusion and the file stuff, okay? So block is a silent drop. FTD will silently drop the traffic without having client or server side having an indication that it dropped the traffic. Okay. Now, next is block with reset. What block with reset does is FTD drops the traffic and sends a TCP reset to client as well as the server. So they know, yes, something dropped the traffic. They have an indication. Okay. Now, next is interactive block. Okay. With interactive block, you see these options are again enabled. So interactive block is something. Suppose if you have worked with URL filtering stuff, there are certain actions you can do. Okay. Suppose there is a website which is you don't really want to completely block it, but you want your users to choose whether they really want to continue to that website or not. Okay. So whenever user accesses an URL, you give them the option. Do you want to move forward or do you want to abort here? So it is something like that. So if user chooses to move forward, then they can move forward by clicking on the interactive block displayed. Okay. And if they choose to terminate, then it's a terminate. Next is interactive block with reset. In that interactive block, there will be no indication to client or server, okay, whether the connection, when the client chooses not to go forward with it, firewall just silently drops the connection. But in this case, interactive block with reset, there will be a TCP reset sent to both ends when the user doesn't choose to go ahead with the connection. Okay, that's what it means. So now let's finish up our policy for the blocked countries. Zones, I say my user is coming from inside zone. My user is going to outside zone. My user is coming from LAN zone. And in terms of destination, I want these two countries. I said Pakistan and I don't want China as well. Okay. These two countries are now my destination and they are geolocation. They are not a specific network. The FMC has a geolocation database which contains all the IPs belonging to these countries. Okay, so it already knows what are the IPs in those countries. Okay. VLAN tags, no. Majorly used when you have transparent firewall and working with inline sets. Users, we have not reached that point there, but we will do them in future. Applications, I'm saying all applications are blocked to these countries. No, I don't want to work with ports or URLs. This is application aware firewall. I have already selected any application. Also, we are going to keep any port, any source and any destination port. URLs, any URLs. Dynamic attributes, any dynamic attribute. Okay. We saw in the last video, there are two options for dynamic attributes, either security group tag or a dynamic object. We have not, discussed them yet, but we will discuss them in the future. Inspection. If I am blocking the traffic, there is no inspection that needs to be applied. Logging, take a log of the connection when the traffic gets dropped for those countries. Comments, let's add a new comment. Here, I put a comment, hit OK. Comment has been added. Rule is good to go. And now add. Now you see my rule has come into number 3. I want to move it to the top. What I can say, let's add a new category. I want to add a category as category name block rules. Okay. So now let's take, I want to move this rule to this block rules category. Okay. I can just drag and drop. That will also work. See, I just dragged and drop. Now, one second. Actually, I wanted this rule to go on the top. So Let's drag and drop to the top and not have that new cat. I'm just gonna delete this new category. I don't need this. Okay. So under standard rules, now are three rules. Block traffic to Pakistan and China. DNS and ICMP allowed. HTTP and SSL is allowed towards rest of the world. Let's save the policy and I'll deploy the policy. And once the deployment is finished, I'm going to come back to you guys. So our deployment is now complete. I just enabled one more thing in the policy. Let me show you guys. So you remember as a default, when none of the rule matches, I'm saying access control should block all the traffic. Here I also enable the logging. So I can see, what traffic is really hitting at the bottom of the rule base. Now let's go back to our LAN side machine and see what is happening. Okay. I go to the machine. Let's launch the Firefox. Now I would try to open the port quiz first. That's only HTTP connection, so port quiz works. Let's have a look at the Wikipedia. Wikipedia doesn't seem to be working, so let's see the logs. So in order to check the logs for the connection events, you go to analysis, connections, and then click on events. Oh, we are seeing a lot of drop traffic. I believe that is for the Wikipedia. This is being dropped because you see, my application protocol is HTTPS. And in the policy, we have SSL. Let me just change that from SSL to HTTPS. I'll go here, applications, remove SSL, and add the HTTPS application. Add to rule, save it. Yeah, change. I would say removed, sorry, removed SSL and added HTTPS. Okay, save it and now deploy. I'll pause the video while it deploys and then come back to you guys. Okay, guys, so you can see the deployment is now complete. Let's go back to the Linux machine and try to open Wikipedia now. And I can see the Wikipedia is working. So FTD is also an application aware firewall. We have no rules that have ports in them. You see, no ports, only layer 7 stuff. We are talking applications. The firewall is going to analyze the traffic at layer 7 and decide what's the protocol. It doesn't care about the port, it cares about the protocol, you know. So that's how it's going to impose its restrictions on the traffic or allow these stuff as per the rules written. So we talked about, all the actions of a rule, and also we created blocked countries, allow HTTP and HTTPS rule. Also, we enable logging on the default rule. So thank you for your time on this video and have a good day. I'll see you in the next video.